بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So inshallah, from today we'll be going through some brief pointers from this book. So we've completed Tasrif al-Izzi, and anybody watching know we haven't recorded this series, the Tasrif al-Izzi series. So inshallah sometime in the future we will record it, but we haven't recorded it as yet. So in Tasrif al-Izzi and the majority of the books of Sarf, the focus is usually on the bina. Bina meaning the mithal, the bina, the sigha. All three words mean the same thing. So the focus, the primary focus is usually on the sigha. For example, how do we form the ism al-fa'il? How do we form the sifat al-mushabbaha? How is a word from the mujarrad put into the mazid fi? In some of the hawashi, and some of the books, like for example, Jurjani rahimahullah in his Miftah, he's got a section called Ma'ani al-Af'al. So Ma'ani al-Af'al. So what he does, he discusses, or what we call in Urdu, khasiyatul abwab. That what does each bab represent? So bab af'ala is ta'diyah, bab mufa'ala is musharaka, etc., etc. So that's what they usually discuss, the sigha, and some books have discussed the Ma'ani al-Af'al, and that's quite common, the Ma'ani al-Af'al. But regarding the other sighas, the mushtaqat, the masadir, what meanings do these give? So yes, we know ism al-fa'il, for example, has a meaning. We know the masdar meaning, but do different masadir have different meanings? Do different forms of plurals have different meanings? For example, in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says here, وَلْيَخْشَى الَّذِينَ لَوْ تَرَكُوا مِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّةً ضِعَافًا. So in Surah Nisa, Allah says ذُرِّيَّةً ضِعَافًا. So the plural of da'if is di'af. But then in Surah Baqarah, Allah says وَلَهُ ذُرِّيَّةٌ ضُعَفًا. So He's mentioned here. So what's the difference between these? So Fadil Samrai rahimahullah, I'm not sure if he's alive or not, yeah, but he's got a lot of videos on YouTube, and he's really, really good in his Arabic. And he's got this book called معاني الأبنية في العربية. This is sarf, the meaning implications, not just the tasrif and how do you conjugate the verbs, but the meaning implications of the sighas. He's also got another book called معاني النحو, which is 2 volumes, 2 very thick volumes. In there he discusses nahwa, not focusing on the Arab, but focusing on the ma'ani. So he's very, very good in these kind of points. So in this book, this is what he discusses. So in the Muqaddimah, before he goes into Muqaddimah, he lays out his book like this. So what he's saying is, we're going to be discussing ism, fa'il, the difference between ism and a fa'il, the masadir, masdar mimi, ism al-marra, ism al-hay'a, makan, zaman, fa'il, maf'ul, sifat al-mushabbaha, jumu' and nasab. What differences of the different sighas give? So for example, ism al-makan, if you add a ta marbuta, maqbar, maqbara, masjid, masjid, is there a difference? How does each meaning different? So yes, masjid is what we call a mosque, but is masjid and masjid different? Why has there been a different sigha for masjid? So he discusses these kind of points in his book. It's very, very useful once you've completed the basic sarf. So inshallah, I won't be like not proper presentations. All I'm doing is basically screenshotting some parts of the text and explaining those. As I said, this is not for a beginner. You've covered the basics of the sighas and the mithal, conjugation, etc. We've got a month or so left, so whatever we can cover, we'll just discuss some points, inshallah. So what he says that this book, the purpose of this book is what? Is to discuss dilalatul binya wa ma'naha. That the different bina means the sighas, plural abniyah. The different sighas, if one word has more than one sigha, like a'ma. So you have a'ma is also sifat mushabbahatun bism al-fa'il, and also fa'ilun, hadirun, amiyun, amin. So a'ma, amin. What's the difference? Okay, like batin, you have a big stomach, and batin. So are they both the same? So he's saying here this is his claim, and obviously he's well versed, so I'm not going to argue with him. He's saying that you do find this discussion in the earlier books, but the Qudama, the earlier scholars, the majority of their focus was actually mostly on the bina, the forms. And they have mentioned this. They have mentioned the meanings, etc. But not as it's like a book itself or focus itself. So that's why he said that my purpose is basically to try to promote this discussion of the meanings of the sigha. Okay? And he gives a few examples. Okay? So he says, for example, we have the word asir and asir, nashit, nashit, ahmaq, hamiq, ajrab, jarib. So all of these words, many sifat mushabbaha, have two forms. And if you look at the last line, he says here, kullu udulin min sighatin ila ukhra la budda an yashabahu udulun an ma'nan ila akhar. He's saying that the Arabs will not have two words for the same meaning. When you change a sigha, there must be a change in meaning. So he attempts to discuss this in this book. Yes, he said another example. We have mubalagha. You have fa'al, you have mif'al here. He says you have fa'al. That's mubalagha. Ghaffar. Okay? You have ghaffar. You have mif'al. You have mif'al. So you have all of these different forms. So what's the difference between ghaffar, ghafoor, ghafir? There must be a difference. So he's analyzing these things. Okay? So that's his purpose of this book. And as I mentioned before, he says here, he gives an example. ذُرِّيَّةٌ ضِعَافٌ ذُرِّيَّةٌ ضُعَفَاءٌ. What's the difference? There must be a difference between ضِعَاف and ضُعَفَاء. Why one is mentioned in a particular context, or why another is mentioned in another context. And we discussed that. To be honest with you, I don't know the difference myself. But he discussed that. And he says here, that the Qudama, the earliest scholars, the primary inayah, the primary focus was on the sigha, on the forms. So this is what he discusses in the Muqaddimah. So inshallah we try to go through some of these points, inshallah, throughout these lessons, inshallah. Okay? So that's the main point that he discussed. Okay? Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.